As we have been reporting, Australian filmmaker James Ricketson has been sentenced to 6 years in a Cambodian prison accused of espionage. Joining me now live via Skype is Human Rights Watch Asia Director Phil Robertson. Phil, thanks for your time this afternoon. What is your reaction to today's sentence?
Well, look, this trial really exposed everything that's wrong with the Cambodian judicial system. You know, there was this ridiculously excessive charge of espionage, there were prosecutors with little or no evidence, and then judges basically carrying out political orders from the government. I think that this sentence was predetermined some time back, and unfortunately, the Cambodian government, when it wants something from its courts, it can get that because these courts are completely politically captured.
So, do you believe that today's decision was politically motivated then?
Absolutely. What's happened is Hun Sen has been manufacturing this false narrative of a color revolution trying to overturn his government, and he's pulled James Ricketson into this. James is a scapegoat. He's a pawn in a larger game between Hun Sen and the opposition political party, the CNRP, who have now been shut down based on these allegations of being, part of a color revolution. And part of that also is saying that this is being done at the behest of unnamed foreign powers. And as James Ricketson said repeatedly in court, can you tell me who I'm spying for? Who are you accusing me of spying for? And he never got a satisfactory answer.
Cambodia has released almost 24 jailed critics or opponents of the Prime Minister in recent weeks. What is the current situation in Cambodia for those who are opponents to the government or speak out against the government?
Well, little has changed on the ground in terms of the restrictions on expression, the fear of the people to speak out. What we're seeing is these political prisoners going through a revolving door. Some are being released, but others are being accused. So there's no real change on the ground. I mean, this is now a one-party dictatorship led by Prime Minister Hun Sen. And, what he says goes as far as the actual political narrative and the facts in the court. The court doesn't really require real facts to convict anybody. It just requires a call from Hun Sen or someone in the CPP to tell them what to do.
What sort of conditions are those opponents facing when they are detained and or put in jail like what we've seen today?
Well, I mean, James Ricketson has been in pretrial detention for 14 months, and it's had a major impact on his health. I mean, we're talking about serious overcrowding. We're talking about very hot, humid temperatures, lack of sufficient food and water, every sort of disease you can imagine. I mean, it is horrific, and I'm very worried for his well-being if he's sent back for 6 years to that prison.
What are the odds then of him being released?
Well, this really depends on whether Canberra is going to stand up or not. I mean, what we've seen from Australia has been frankly pathetic when it comes to protecting their citizen here. This softly, quietly approach to dictators in Southeast Asia doesn't work. What they should have been doing is speaking very forcefully from day one that this entire process was absurd, that this man is a filmmaker and a photographer, and he's not a spy, and, Cambodia should not play these kind of games. But unfortunately, Canberra's gone along with it, and this has been the result.
In some articles on this, the court was heard that he had offered footage of a rally that he was accused of filming to offer up to an opposition party to the government. Do you believe that the Cambodian judicial system is perhaps falsifying evidence or not exploring all the evidence in the cases?
Well, I mean, what he was accused of when he was first detained was flying a drone over a street protest, a political rally, which is not a crime. And, from there, they manufactured, charges against him of espionage. They went through his computer. They tried to find anything incriminating, and they found an email he sent to the Australian government, and he found an email he sent to an opposition party leader, expressing opinions. But none of this is anything different than like an ordinary civil society activist would be involved in. It's absurd. I mean, basically, the courts don't require evidence. They just look for something that they can use to try to cover whatever predetermined verdict they have in their back pocket.
Be interesting to see what happens now. Human Rights Watch Asia Director Phil Robinson, appreciate your time this afternoon. Thank you.
Of course, thanks.